kids, children, adults, grandparents, people of all ages. You might be a cat, you might be a dog, or anything in between, or an inanimate object. I am doing a tip video. Frightening. It's been a while. I still don't have any suggestions, so I'm just making them up whenever I feel like it. There is a snow out my window there, and there's a lot of snow drifts, and one of the lucky people to have the blizzard stuff today. However, only about 7 inches or so here. Other places had 20. So, we lucked out, I guess. If that's what you want to call it. But still, it was not pretty last night. And even though it was done this morning, it was still not pretty this morning either. And getting my car out, we had to shovel around it because there were drifts around it. Fortunately, it didn't need pushed. And I spent probably 2 hours at least clearing the driveway with 2 people doing it with snow blower and shovel. Anyway, roads are getting a little better now. They're still slick though, so okay, anyway, so today I'm going to talk to you about how you can improve your routers. Yes, this is a router. It's probably hard to see right here, but there's the router, or a router, I'll just say as an example. It's a wireless router. It's one of those cheaper, like $40 to $50 Linksys routers. So anyway, I'm going to discuss today how you can make some modifications to your router to make it work better, do a lot more, or so on and so forth. Now, before I start, what this will do is will void the warranty on your router. So if your router has a warranty on it, this will end the warranty if you do this. So I'm not going to tell you to do this, but I'm just going to show you what your router would be like if you had this on it. And what I'm going to talk to you about is DD-WRT. It is a special, it's like an open source software that's made for certain routers that will reflash your router, which basically means reprogram your router with this software on it versus the software that your router comes with. So like this Linksys here will come with built-in Linksys software for managing it and so on. This DD-WRT program overwrites that, and then instead of seeing Linksys software, you'll see DD-WRT software on it. Now, I don't actually have it on this router yet, but I could very well end up doing that. But I do have it on our router we're using here. So I suggest if you have like a second router that, you know, it's just a spare, put DD-WRT on it if you can. Put it on there. You know, try it out. Play with it. Because here's the story. Alright. I've gone through, or I'm on our second wireless router. Finally switched to having a wireless router about, 2 years ago. Because never had any laptops until finally 2 years ago. Had a wireless router. It was a Netgear, not that the brand really matters, but it was a Netgear, and it never seemed to really work too well, the wireless especially. Anytime the wireless was on, everybody's network connections would slow down all the time, and it was just awful. And then eventually it was to a point where the wireless just started dropping on it like every 2 or 3 days. So every 2 or 3 days the wireless would quit working, and we'd have to unplug the router and reset it. Every 2 or 3 days, and I was getting tired of it. So I went out and bought a $100 Linksys router. Because I've had good luck with Linksys in the past, and this was actually my first Netgear, so I didn't really know anything about it anyway. But I get this new Linksys router, and everything was fine and dandy for about 2 weeks. And then about every week, the wireless would drop on it. Now, we have a lot of, well, there's some people out there that have more yet, but we have a lot of stuff on our network. So it's like, apparently these $100 routers aren't going to handle it. So anyway, this is a $100 router. I've only had it about a month, and it's already started dropping every week. And I was like, there's got to be a better alternative. Well, there's this DD-WRT I've heard of. Do I really want to mess with putting it on this router or not? Well, I decided to take the chance. So on a fairly new router that did void the warranty on it, I put DD-WRT on it. Now, another word of warning, when you put DD-WRT on the router, is don't unplug your router while it's installing on your router, or else you turn your router into basically a paperweight. They call it breaking your router. Brick, not break, brick. Although it technically breaks it too, but it goes through some paces. I'm not going to explain to you how to install it. There are lots of good places to go out there that show you how to do it. So I'm just going to show you what it does. So anyhow, I had enough of the wireless, that router that I spent $100 on, dropping every week. So I put DD-WRT on it, and I've had it running that now for a year. Wireless has only dropped once in a whole year. So that same router. I didn't change the hardware in the router. I just reflashed it with the DD-WRT versus the Linksys software, and it went from dropping every week to dropping once a year. So I've had it about a year, and it's dropped. The wireless has only gone out once on the thing. And when we have 5 wireless devices and then 4 wired devices to it, and who knows what else comes in and out of here, that's pretty good. So I'm not going to complain there. So anyway, I'm not telling you to install it on your router, but if you have a router to play with and you aren't afraid if you break it, go for it. Put it on there. And likewise, if you have a router that's still under warranty and you think it's worth the risk to try putting it on there, go for it. I'm not saying it's, as long as you follow the steps and you do what you're supposed to do, you probably won't have a problem. The only other thing I'll say is it's not supported on all the routers, so you'll have to research to see if DD-WRT will work on the router that you want to put it on first, because not all of them will work. So anyway, I'm going to get my laptop here, and I'm going to show you kind of a basic tour of it. Let's turn the laptop so you can see it. You can use any web browser to get in, just like any other router software. And here's DD-WRT right here. But you aren't going to see the greatest, because I don't have screen capturing software. However, you'll be able to see most of it. So, let's see, alright, that's about as good as we're going to get. So anyway, what we have here shows the router name and model. And for those of you tech savvy that are wondering, it's a Linksys WRT 320N. Got it at like Walmart about a year ago. MAC address, which I'm not going to tell you what that is. It'll tell you TX power, transmission power. Basically, that's your wireless antenna. On this DD-WRT, you can actually go to your router and adjust how strong your wireless signal is from the router itself. So you can actually adjust the strength of your antenna to an extent. Of course, there'll still be some limitations to that. Here down below, it'll show you your wireless devices that are connected, and it'll show you the signal quality of them. Below, it'll show you all your DHCP clients. And it shows you, this is just the overview page. This isn't even settings. This is just the overview page. It even tells you how much memory is available on the router. It's got 32 megs of RAM and 26.9 is free, or available anyway. 14.3 is actually free, but 26.9 available. Okay, so that is just the status page of the router. That's nothing else yet, and it'll even show you your uptime up here. So it's been up for 44 days, and the only reason why it hasn't been up longer is because our internet went out, so of course we had to go through the paces of resetting the router and the modem and blah 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 blah. Otherwise, it'd be up longer than that without a reset. So now, anything else we want to view on the router, we have to actually log in for to change settings. It just shows you the overview page without logging in. Everything else you got to have password and username. And by the way, it allows you to create your own username, so you don't have to put like Linksys or whatever the username default username is. You can change even your username along with your password to log in. Hopefully I don't mess my typing up. No, I don't want you to remember that password. Okay. Alright. So now we're actually into the setup of the router. WAN connection type. Connection type. Automatic configuration DHCP. I mean, this thing, I kid you not, has so many dang options. I don't even know what half of them are. And maybe to an extent, you almost turn the router into more of a professional-like router. It just works so much better. Router IP. You can set your router IP address and subnet mask, gateway, local DNS. And there's DHCP settings, DHCP type, there's DHCP server, or you can change it to forwarder. Enabled it for DHCP server. Starting IP address, maximum DHCP users. Lease time, static DNS, wins. And on and on and on. DNS mask. NTP client, time zone events. Summertime, blah 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 blah. Server IP name. That is just the basic setup tab. That's nothing yet. We're not even close. Let's go to the DDNS tab. So DDNS service is disabled, but you can turn it on to DNS, free DNS, zone edit, zone edit, no IP, blah 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 blah. I don't know what half of this is. MAC address cloning. You can do MAC address cloning. Advanced routing or routing. Operating mode. Set a gateway. You can do BGP, RIP2 router, OSPF router, OLSR router, or just router. Static routing or routing. I like to say routing. Select set number 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way to 50. Router name. Metric, destination LAN net, subnet mask gateway, interface LAN, and WLAN. And then you can choose all sorts of other options here. And then you can show the routing table. Alright, so there's the advanced routing tab. VLANs, yes, VLANs you can do with this as well. And auto negotiate, 100 megabit and full duplex enabled. Wireless, LAN, link aggregation. You can just, this is just crazy how much you can do this. You can't do this with your default Linksys software or Netgear software or whatever brand of router you have software. You just can't do that with most routers. VLAN tagging, you can do bridging with it. WAN ports assignment, network configuration, Ethernet 0, 1, blah, 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 VLAN, multiple DHCP server, EOIP, tunneling, up to 10 tunnels. I mean, this is just crazy. That's just the setup tab. Let's go to the wireless tab. I mean, it gets crazy. Wireless mode, wireless network name, SSID, wireless channel, channel width, wireless SSID broadcast, sensitivity range, network configuration, can be bridged or unbridged, and virtual interfaces. You can add virtual interfaces if you want. Blah, 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 blah. There's that. Radius. Mac Radius client. You can enable or disable that. Wireless security. So there's the security mode, algorithm, your key, renewal interval, blah, 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 blah. Mac filter. You can have a Mac filter. Advanced wireless settings. This gets crazy. Authentication type. Basic rate. MIMO transmission fixed rate. Transmission fixed rate. CDS protection mode. Frame burst. Beacon interval. I don't know what most of this is. DTIM interval. Fragmentation threshold. RTS threshold. Max associated clients. API isolation. There's your antenna where you can adjust left, right, blah, blah, blah. Preamble, long, short, auto. Short slot override. TX power. So, default is 71. So this is where you can adjust your transmission power. So you can set it from between 1 and 251. It's set at 71. So I could crank this baby up to 251 and that wireless signal would go a lot farther out. Don't need to, so I won't turn it up because I don't need it going across the street. But you can turn this thing way up. I mean, that's not even halfway up. You can turn it all up to 251 milliwatts. Nice. Afterburner, Bluetooth coexistence mode, wireless GUI access, radio scheduling, WWM support, no acknowledgement. There's some other weird things. EDC AAP parameters, STA parameters, WMM, transmission retry limits, blah, 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 blah. WDS tab, wireless MAC. Lazy WDS, WDS subnet, NAT, IP address, subnet mask. That's wireless. Services. As you can see, there's a bunch here. I mean, you cannot do all of this with your default software on most of your routers. You can't do it. That you just go out and buy from Walmart or whatever. You can't do that, but you can turn it into doing something like this, because that's exactly what I did with this $100 Linksys router. DHCP client, DHCP server, blah, 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 so all sorts of things there. There's for doing static leases, static IPs, blah, blah, blah. Xbox Arcade, and this isn't the latest version of DD-WRT either, I think, because this was from a year ago. So unless they haven't changed it in a year, this is what I'm running. So there might even be more now. There's all these other options here. I don't know what they all are. VPN, services, USB, which we have core USB support disabled. There is no USB, or there are no USB ports or anything like that on that router, so there's no point to have USB on it. Network attached storage, hotspot, Sputnik, hotspot system, Wi-Fi dog, choose spot, and this is just crazy. Milkfish SIP router. My ad network. Yes, that's right. Earn revenue by creating ad-supported anchor-free hotspot. Nice. Okay. So there's the services tab. Now we're on to the security tab. Firewall protection. Enable. Additional filters. We could do filter proxy, filter cookies, filter Java applets, and filter ActiveX. Block WAN requests. We can block anonymous WAN requests. Ping. Can do filter multicast, filter WAN NAT redirection, and filter IDENT. IDENT. No, not ID10T, which is what I am. Connection warning notifier, log management. Let's go to the VPN pass-through tab. IPsec pass-through, PPTP pass-through, L2TP pass-through. And TP for my button. Oh. Okay, access restrictions tab. This one only has one sub-tab. Access policy. Blah, 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 blah. PCs, so you can of course edit your list of clients, deny or filter, blah blah blah, the days of the week, times of the week, catch all P2P protocols, so you can choose like Eris or any of these, Doom 3 even. All these things you can stop. Website blocking by URL address. Yes, website blocked by keywords, so you can block keywords. Always lovely. You have people trying to browse Bible stories. So this might be boring you because a lot of it's probably going over your head. Don't worry, it's going over my head too. There's so much stuff here. Port forwarding, port range forwarding, port triggering, UPnP. That doesn't sound right. DMZ even. And QoS. Good old QoS. So, of course, you can start QoS, enable, disable, port, packet schedule, uplink, downlink, optimize for gaming, services priority, netmask priority, Mac priority. Administration. So there's username, password, re-enter to confirm. Web access, we can choose protocol of HTTP or HTTPS. Auto refresh, enable into site, and info site password protection. Info site masking. Oh my goodness. Web GUI management, SSH management, telnet management, allow any remote IP. Boot weight, cron, additional cron jobs. 82.1x, enable, reset button, enable, routing, enable, IPv6 support. It's disabled, but we do have lots of Windows 7 machines that would use IP version 6. Anyway, JFFS2 support, language selection, IP filter settings, overclocking, not supported on this router. Probably a good thing, I don't want to burn the router. Router GUI style, CIFS auto mount. That's the management tab, management subtab. Keep alive subtab. You're probably not alive by now by looking at this because there's just so much going over your head like it is for me. Proxy connection watchdog, schedule reboot, WDS connection watchdog. Oh yes, even a command shell. WOL, wake on LAN. So we can enable wake on LAN for any of these machines if we'd like to. Hopefully you can't read the MAC addresses of those. Wake on LAN addresses, manual wake on LAN, automatic wake on LAN, factory defaults. Finally, the tab that most routers have, where's the factory defaults option. Here you can upgrade the firmware. And here you can back up the firmware. And then finally, we're back to the status tab, which we've already covered. And oh, by the way, it also shows you your CPU, the router CPU load as well. There's memory, blah blah blah, active IP connections, and so on and so forth. Oh, and by the way, that status has router tab, WAN tab. So you can release and renew IPs, of course. Total traffic. So yes, it'll even show you your traffic by month. So we can go to previous month. There's our traffic. The green would be the incoming, the red would be the outgoing. So yes, it even shows you all of that. That's on WAN. There's LAN, local network, and there's MAC address, blah 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 blah. Active clients, ratio, dynamic, blah 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 blah, DHCP clients, which of which you can delete if you'd like. Wireless. Radio is on. Yes, it is. Thanks for noticing. Wireless packet info, clients, bandwidth tab. Yes, so it does bandwidth monitoring, WAN, wireless. We're on wireless here. So, and then finally, this system info tab is the default thing you see before you even log into the router. So, finally, we are through everything that was in there. And this version was from a year ago, so there could be more since then. I don't know. I don't know how often they update DD-WRT. But that's a lot, if you ask me. So, for those of you who want to play with DD-WRT and unleash the beast of your router that it could be, your website address will be http:// and as you know what I'm going to do next, www.wrt.com. And of course it'll automatically probably put in the slash and whatever garbage afterwards. And on this website you will have the places to download. Of course you can make donations if you so choose. Frequently asked questions, documentation, customization services, oh yes, and forums, and wiki, of course. And you'll see a button on the right side. There's be a right pane there where I'll have latest DD-WRT releases. There'll be a green button and an orange button, and then below is router database. You click on that, and then you can put on your router's model or whatever, and you can find out if it's supported or not. So like this one here is a WRT. I'm pretty sure this one was supported. WRT 54G2. Of course it helps if I put in the right things there. So let's try it again. WRT 54G2. Okay, and there they are. And then you see here it says version 1. So there's revision 1 right there. And it says yes, it's supported. So, yes, this router would run DD-WRT. And this was a cheap $40 or $50 router. It's not one of the expensive ones. This was like one of those $40, $50 ones that you see anywhere, like at Walmart and Best Buy and all those places. So yes, and you could put, all the builds that you could put on are just beta builds. But, you know what? If I recall right, my DD-WRT is a beta build. If I recall right. I'm going to check now. DD-WRT V24 SP2. Free SP2. And the firmware I had on it was actually from 12/19/09. Okay. So anyway, yeah. I don't know which build it is though. But anyhow, yes, I could put DD-WRT on this cheap $40, $50 Linksys router. Granted, it's a beta build of it, but I think that's actually what I'm running on my $100 Linksys. I'm having no problems with it at all. It works better than the official Linksys software. Just remember, like I said already, it does void your warranty to do it, so don't come screaming at me if they won't take it back after you've done this and you've turned your router into a paperweight because you didn't follow the directions or you lost power during the upgrade or change. I'm going to call it upgrade because it really is. Brings your router to life. The only other thing I did notice though is switching to this is on these Linksys routers how they have that little push button on some of these ones that look like the spaceship one like these. And mine's similar to this, only a higher end version of it, and 1 gigabit connections and such. But anyway, this button here that you push on for wireless computers will automatically let them connect to the wireless, so you don't have to have passwords and all that. Does not work in DD-WRT, at least that version that I've got. Instead, this little green light that shows up above it just stays lit orange all the time. Other than that, that's something that's silly because I didn't like ever having to use that button anyway. I like doing it the hard way anyway, because I'm a power user. Anywho, finally, it's a 30-minute video. Wow, it's gonna take forever to upload. So anyway, I think I'm finally through. But check this out. If your router can run this, and you aren't afraid of putting it on your router, or if you have a second router, because it works on a lot of older routers too, like those old Linksys, those old blue Linksys routers with the big antennas sticking out. Those were very, very popular to use with DD-WRT. So anyway, if you have a router to play with and you aren't afraid about messing it up, or if you just feel confident enough in yourself that you know you won't mess it up, or you feel like, well, it doesn't matter if it messes up, I'll have to get a new router anyway, try it. You might be surprised. It might work out well for you. But remember, no warranty whatsoever with putting it on there. They'll even, I think, express that on their own websites here, that you are on your own. And there are other open source router firmware, software stuff out there for routers. I'm just showing DD-WRT. There's probably other good ones out there. I'm just showing one. Because this took a half hour. Could you imagine if I had to go through all of them? So anyway, oh, and of course, make sure that your router is connected to an active internet connection, because you'll obviously need to download the firmware from that, and well, actually from your computer. And then also, there will be procedures for resetting your router, and I mean resetting it as in back to default settings and everything without hitting a button there. You'll actually have to like unplug it and put a pin in it and whatever. It might vary on router to router. So anyway, that's why you need to, if you put it on there, you need to research that part because it could vary. So anyway, I think I'm finally through this video. I think I'm done tormenting you because I've yapped forever. My mouth is getting dry. So, this is Nerd Ngong, and I approve this message, as I always do, for those of you that are suffering in some sort of snow or blizzard or severe weather of any like with this big massive thing that's hit the United States. Stay in your home. I probably won't be staying in my home tomorrow, but then again, I was outside clearing white stuff, white sugary stuff anyway, today, but it did take a while. So anyway, probably tomorrow I'll probably be fine to be back out in it again. So anyway, this is Nerd Ngong, and I approve this message like I already said. 2 cats are on the bed. The black one, and of course the big striped one. You don't see the calico one that often. So anyway, I've yapped long enough, I'm sure. So, bye-bye. Oh, by the way, I am going to probably put it on this router, make the wireless signal go out further, because it doesn't go out far enough for where we use this thing. So anyway, bye-bye.